has.
Yes. Welcome to the Tim McKernan Show podcast from the Longo Big Studios. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Jackson Bennett Burkett. And it is Friday, February 23rd, 2024. It's time for QFTA. Come, skull fuck me. I didn't have anything.
It's still good, though.
Was it really?
Sure.
Okay. Jackson, I was saying this to you before we began this. I bet I'm not on camera.
Yeah,
I probably am. I love it. I want them to keep coming in. At this point, though, we're getting so many emails for QFTA that I got to like pre-read them because I'll never catch up. But hey, God bless. I'm glad people are sending them in. Thank you so much. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. Thank you and God bless. And please continue to send them in. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. And yeah, the people are enjoying. Well, I don't know if they're enjoying, but at the very least they're listening, or I guess some watch when we are live on YouTube and
engaging.
We are live. Yeah, they are engaging. So thank you very much. Here, you got anything you want to talk about while I type social media stuff live on the podcast, The Tim McKernan Show, brought to you by James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Mark Hanna of Evergreen Wealth Strategies, Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt Alton Toyota, Design Air Heating and Cooling online at designairservice.com. Anything?
Let me think. You know, on this whole Miracle on Ice thing, people are really coming at my head.
Oh, yeah. You and Jamie Rivers are going to scrap.
Probably not. Just for his safety. He's got to look good on TV. I don't want to mess that up for him.
Right. I agree with that.
But, you know, I just... this whole thing that I hate America and all this is just such nonsense. It's so un-American to chastise someone for utilizing their First Amendment right, which is to speak freely.
Wow. Look at you.
And so those who say, you know, Jackson was rooting for the Russians and I guess, you know, these young people don't respect America anymore.
Nice.
First of all, sick take. And second of all,
nice.
I am just exercising my First Amendment right, and if you have a problem with that, I am sorry. You're the one who's un-American.
Wow, you came loaded for bear today.
You know, I can't stand hypocrisy.
And you feel like that's what we got going on here.
Hypocrisy and limiting liberty. That's what I just don't like to. I don't like to see. I hate seeing it.
All right. Well, Jackson has made it known where he is to start the day. Do you have? I get the sense you have plans tonight. I know you're not going to share them, but I want to make sure that I'm correct on that.
Not tonight, tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you give me any hint?
I mean, I'm with my girl, but that's
with my girl.
Yeah, I won't say much outside of that.
Okay. You going dining?
Yeah, we'll get some food.
Do you know where you're going already? That's a yes.
But it's a complicated yeah. Not because of anything like that. It's just a.
Sounds like you're looking for a favor to get in at Polimano's, eh?
No. We've been hitting Italian a lot recently.
Is that right?
Yeah, Canetto's on last week. What was it tasty?
What'd you get?
Obviously the salad.
Yeah.
Got to get the salad.
I do like that salad, and I'm not usually a salad guy.
You know what's interesting, though, and it really did feel, and I don't know if this was a mistake on the restaurant's part or if they've changed it, but usually the Canetto salad has a little prosciutto on top.
Oh, prosciutto.
Oh, it's so delightful. This one didn't have it. So I think it was just a minor mistake by the kitchen. Still, A+ meal on Canetto's part. And then I got the ravioli. I like the ravioli from there. Anything with the meat sauce at Canetto's is world class.
I agree. It's a nice treat.
Good.
That's a nice treat.
Yeah, a little glass of white. Oh, what a time.
I got my ball tonight. Yeah,
that's right.
So we are literally going to, like, you know, this is starting at like I'm picking up my son from school, and then I'm going over to some of the people we're going to his house, like the guys, because the girls are getting like all done up. I asked my wife, I said, when are you heading down? I'm getting my hair done at 2:30. I go, man, what the fuck are we doing here? Yeah. But okay. Yeah. And then I said to my buddies I'm going down there with, and he's like, I got the bottle of whiskey ready to go. I'm going, but what am I?
You got to pregame.
I mean, holy shit.
You're pre-gaming.
So it's like, Okay, it's 12:45. I got to wrap up the podcast because I got to pick up my son at 3 and start drinking whiskey at 3:15.
Yeah, look at you, a little Friday brown liquor.
Friday, is that the title of today's
Friday brown liquor.
Friday
That's
brown
nice.
liquor.
I hope people are drinking brown liquors responsibly, of course.
Thank you. It's so important
while
to
listening,
say.
either if they're listening live or listening in the podcast later. Is the YouTube chat up for you? For whatever reason, I'm not seeing anything in there. Maybe no one sent a message yet, but usually Carl Pelker's right there.
Let me see.
FX.
I am in the YouTube now. I have so many different YouTube accounts, and for whatever reason, the one that I really use, which is the Pony Show thing, that's my avatar.
Nice.
Thank you. That's not available.
Oh, no, there it is.
So McShamus is in there?
Yep, McShane is the first one I see.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, come on in the YouTube chat. I don't know who I'm talking to. The only way you can be listening live right now is by the YouTube chat, right?
Right.
Fuck, I don't know. What about the TMA app? Does this? No.
No. Nope.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, it's QFTA, and it's Friday, and I'm going to a ball.
And drinking whiskey.
And drinking whiskey. You drink a lot of whiskey?
Not a brown liquor guy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You hate Irish people? Is that your deal?
No, it's... where's my camera? I love the Irish people.
Nice, thank you.
Love the Republic of Ireland.
It's nice. You don't like the North. I count that, and I respect that. Trust me, you're in the right place to say that. It's
still
awkward with my wife being a Protestant, but I guess my 2 Irish kids being Protestant.
I could imagine. But I'd still like to visit Belfast one day. It looks like a pretty town.
Yeah, I'd have to sneak in after what my family's done up there.
Right. But I'd also love to visit County Cork. My dad and my mom and dad went to Ireland and said that's my dad and my mom and dad have been to a lot of places. They speak the highest of Italy and they speak the highest of Ireland.
Is that right?
They loved Ireland. My dad especially.
Where didn't they like?
I think they've really liked everywhere they go. I don't think that they were. No, they liked. I mean, my dad has a picture. He walked St. Andrews up there in Scotland, and he said that was the coolest thing ever. And they loved Copenhagen. That seems like a very cool town as well, similar to like Amsterdam in a way, kind of the canal town. But they loved Ireland, the greenery. That's what they really loved. It's just so green everywhere and super cool. So I love Irish people, but not a brown liquor guy.
Okay, all right.
I
think I can live with that. Jackson Sharon in Clayton came after you. Do you have anything you want to say to her about your?
No, again, like if she wants to have that opinion that she can't believe that 101 ESPN would employ someone who would rather see.
I actually thought that wasn't like a real account, but I see on the TMA fan page where I posted that we're doing this. It like she's an active real person on Twitter. And
God bless. And if she wants to have that opinion,
but she's got a dog avatar.
Well, I think she has dogs in her profile name, but I think her picture, in fairness to Sharon, is a picture of a woman.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's.
I haven't had a chance to follow her just yet.
No, I did some digging. But God bless. Yeah, listen. First of all, any engagement is engagement, nonetheless. So happy to see it.
So profound.
And happy to see it. And if she thinks that I should lose my job, I would say nice. Nice.
KG in O-Town says, good day, gentlemen. Good day, KG in O-Town. Let me go. I can't even do the number thing here, and I don't even want to necessarily go back. All right, I'm gonna go back to 2024 emails, which isn't fair, but I'm gonna go back to them. All right, let's see what we got. I like this because I'm on a schedule because of the brown liquor.
That's right.
How do you handle regret, and do you have any regrets that have had a lasting impact on you? I mean, you were thinking erotic stories, and all of a sudden, I hit you with that.
Regrets.
That's from Tiny Peepee, too. Sent on January 10th, 2024. I'm going all the way back. I'm trying not to penalize people for being the older ones that I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. Mine is actually...
Oh, you're going to have one? I kind of think you didn't have one.
Well, it's small potatoes, theoretically, towards like what some people who might be a little older than me would have in the regret department. But it kind of is a nice segue from what I was talking about earlier with my parents going over to Europe, is not studying abroad in college. I wish I would have done that. That would have been really, really cool. And I decided instead to hang out in Cleveland.
And where would you have gone?
England. I would like to be based in England. And then once you're there, you can obviously travel all around Europe quickly over there. You're in Paris in like no time. And you can go check out all of Europe. I had a couple buddies who did the England thing based in London, and then they went all over the place and said it was like the best time ever. So I'm very upset I didn't do that, because that's a perfect time to do it.
I hope for you, it would be wonderful if you are asked this question at 47 years old, and that is still your biggest regret.
That's the goal.
That is my wish for you.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
An Irish blessing, even though you made it clear your stance on the Irish earlier in this podcast, which was...
I'll reiterate, I love the Irish people, the Republic of Ireland, but I'd still like to visit Belfast.
Despite your distaste for the North, which, of course, is
right. And
where I am.
I still think Rory McIlroy is the best swing in golf.
Despite being from the North.
Right.
God, on the regrets thing, Jackson. All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You've done a show with me now for 3 years and 2 months.
That's right.
What do you think my answer to the question is? And then maybe you'll trigger something in me.
Man. I mean, I know you've talked before about how your early days in radio, like in your 20s, you look back on your behavior on air as something that's not palatable to you anymore, like something you don't really like hearing.
That's correct.
But I think like the natural evolution of humans is kind of to look back on certain elements of your life with distaste.
Which may in fact be the case, but most humans, and this may change, we might be in the midst of the change right now because of social media, but most humans don't have the ability to actually see and or hear themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you may correct the past in your mind, and then all of a sudden, if somebody played a video or audio of it, you can't deny that.
Right.
That is the truth. And so, even though I haven't heard a whole lot of it, and if I do hear it, I like run from it. I go, oh my God, you know?
Right.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if that's all I can hear is like what was going on briefly between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. But yeah, that behavior, and I mean, I might be even, actually, if you're listening to this and you didn't listen to the show, that I might make it sound like it was worse than it actually was. But I just know that is definitely not how I am now. I also think that, yesterday I'm doing a sound story. Guy comes in, it's a guy and his wife. God, but I say this all the time. I was talking to probably Peter or maybe one of our investors last night. And I said, God, this was so good. And so at the same time, I feel like I say that after every one of them, but that's how I felt. And one of the new things that we're starting to do with Sound Story. And this guy, he was probably 74 maybe. Yep. And he goes, I know this might sound weird, but I have been listening to you since the very beginning. Oh, son of a bitch. You wouldn't necessarily expect that with somebody at 74, but it certainly does happen. And he goes, boy, you were really energetic back when you started. And I'm like, is he trying to say I had a coke problem? I mean, but I wouldn't, like, if you know people with cocaine problems, I sounded like a person with cocaine problems. At least that's what I hear. Except I've never even touched, not even a little nummy, much less snorted the white horse. But I hear that and I go, God, what the fuck? But that isn't, to me, a regret is something that you still think about years later. That's what I think about. And then like what you learn from it. And so in that sense, that's what I think of when it comes to regrets. It's weird when I hear, I don't know who I was, I think maybe it was Bill Maher on his podcast. And I don't know who he was talking to. But when people say they have no regrets, like how disingenuous. Oh no, it was Stern and Billy Joel. And like how there's like it's just not possible. But I guess it can be possible. But I would have a tough time thinking that somebody's really experienced growth over the course of their life if they don't look back with something, with some semblance of regret. It's just really to what degree is the regret.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a felony under your belt
Right.
and you're going, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, that's different than like, I wish I would have gone overseas and studied.
Yeah.
It's still a regret, but it's certainly another level.
And then there's some things where like some people might have regret that's pretty major, you know, like a stretch of time or something that they did. Others, it might just be like something really innocuous and small, but something they really look back on with regret, you know. And probably almost every time when you look back with regret, like you view it much worse than how it probably was. Like you think, like just like we romanticize the past in terms of like good things, we also probably like vilify some of the things that we did in the past more so in our head. I
think that's a case. I mean, this is good that there's an active chat going on in the YouTube chat, which is wonderful. I just opened it up. I have very few. This is Mike Frisella using his own name. God bless him, assuming that's his real name. I have very few regrets, but I occasionally look back wistfully on choices I've made / actions I took. Chris Bray, also using, I think, his real name. My blind rage, losing in sports or watching sports has made me look like a major asshole. I think that's a healthy thing. Because I think when you think of regrets, you think of things that might be like substantial life things. And then like to look at that, yeah, I wonder. I mean, I don't think because in part I've been in press boxes, so you're really not in a spot to do that. But yeah, that's an interesting one.
Oh, yeah.
I caught myself during the LSU game with my older son, the younger one. I don't even know if he was around, but either way, he would have been 1, so he wouldn't know what the hell's going on. I'm going, oh my God, I'm acting like a fucking nut here. I mean, to me, I was acting like a nut. It really wasn't, you know. But still, I'm like, I remember my dad at Notre Dame games in the 1980s. Holy shit, I don't want to put my son through that. I got to fucking settle down here.
Yeah,
you know?
I had that last night. I had a rec league basketball game last night.
Oh, what do we have going on
And
here? It's time for story time.
asshole.
Oh my God!
Well,
what the fuck were you doing?
I went up for a layup.
You Draymond?
No. We have the same 2 refs every week for this league I'm in. They're very kind, and again,
Look at this. There's a little pistol in the studio.
They're good. I'm telling you, once you put me on hardwood, I lace up my shoes, I turn into a different person. These 2 guys are really good. They're nice.
The rec league officials are about to take some shrapnel here.
This one guy, this one ref, just hasn't given me a call all season.
Oh my God, I'm looking at you differently now.
I go up for a layup. I get hammered on it. I mean, the guy goes up in the air. I pump fake him, goes up in the air. I go lean into him, textbook foul, and the ref calls a jump ball. And I was like,
Did you say something?
oh, as I handled the ball, I said, you got it. I came to him nicely. He gave me some BS explanation for it. I was like, whatever. The other team's screaming at me. They're like, tee him up, tee him up. God.
Oh my God.
And then like
do people know of your profession?
No.
Are you known as Piddles out there?
A couple guys on our team.
Yeah.
But
Sweet guy, of course.
he doesn't. He's in New Hampshire, and he's one of the worst basketball players to ever draw a breath. But I just run down to the other end, and I'm just like screaming. I was like, he didn't even fucking touch the ball. Like I was yelling, mad as a hornet. And I look back on it and just like, God, these are rec league refs. They got 4 more games to ref tonight. They're doing it probably for little money, but they love it, and they probably ref all year. Like, what am I doing? I feel like such an asshole. Now, granted, every time I do it, I go up to the ref afterwards and say like, hey, I'm sorry. I just get it into the game a little bit.
And what does the ref say to you?
Oh, he always is all good. This guy's like a legit really good guy.
Why don't we get him on the podcast?
He's a legit really good. Well, he hasn't given me a call. I threw the ball last week out on the guy's leg so clearly, and he called it their ball. I was like, this is outrageous. Regardless, I shouldn't act like that. But I know I just get fired up. This
is good. This is the kind of regret I was looking for. I just didn't realize it was 12 hours old.
Yeah, no, I did. We won the game, so big W.
That's
big W.
All justified in the end.
I was hitting free throws like a madman at the end. But yeah,
what was your? Because I haven't looked at the box score yet. What were your numbers last night?
I think I had 12 points last night.
Yeah,
but 5 of 6 free throws to ice the game.
That's huge.
Huge.
It's interesting that they chose to foul you. I would have thought they would have known better.
Yeah, they should have. I have 3 straight times I went to the line. 5 or 6. Only missed the last one.
Manchild79 says Jackson wilding on the court.
Facts. Like and I'll talk shit to other players too. Like but then like as soon as the game's over, like I'm instantly filled on the ride home. I'm filled with regret for my behavior. But I know that's just how I am, and that's part of the reason why I love it. Is it's kind of an outlet because if you're calm all the time, like everyone has shit where like it pisses them off. It like you do your best to keep your composure, and for the most part you do. But having an outlet where like you kind of can, as Manchild said, while out, it feels good. It's good to release that.
That rec league ref is absolutely a balloon partier who hates Jackson's hockey takes and has it out for our boy. That's from Al in Dadeville.
Yeah, he might.
Chat.
Maybe he is. Maybe he really hates the program. I would be surprised. I don't. Just in no world could you call this a jump ball. He fouled the shit out of me.
I need video of this. Do we have anybody shooting video of this? It'd be wonderful.
I would love
it's like the Plowhawk sportscast that you posted on the Twitter account today.
I know, we need that.
Is that on our Instagram also?
It's definitely on Twitter.
Can it be on TikTok too?
I can throw it everywhere.
McShamus says too much brown liquor can lead to regret. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. 100%.
So I'm trying to think, and this. So I want we've got an active YouTube chat here today, which is wonderful, especially considering this podcast came out of Tommy. I was just in there meeting with Tommy Mattern, and he goes, "Go home," and I go, "I want to go do the podcast." He just goes, "Okay," and that's the thing. It's like a nice day. Now, of course, I have the hard out at 3:00, pick up my son, and then I got the brown liquor at 3:15, and then this ball.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, today's like, I mean, I could just go chip and putt and have AirPods in and be the happiest motherfucker in the world. But I want to do the podcast. Mm-hmm. So now that we have this active YouTube chat, this is wonderful. And maybe you guys in the YouTube chat can come up with something. Because honest to God, this is a dangerous thing to say because this isn't usually, I'm kind of more in the self-deprecating thing, but it's also coming from an honest place. Like I really feel these things that I'm saying. In my mind, I'm trying to think of something that in the last, it sucks to go last 5 years because you've only been with me for 3. Mm-hmm. So I guess I could say last 3 years. Is there something in the last 3 years that you think I would regret? Like I want to.
Like I'm trying to think of something major.
Like like you're talking about your rec league shit. That's not a major thing. Like in 2 weeks you'll be like, oh yeah, that was dumb. But it's not like
I'll do it again next week. I promise you.
YouTube chatters, feel free to.
You've had some club selections where I'm like, yeah, you've afterwards been like, should have clubbed down. Yeah.
The choice of a golf club on a shot.
You've said to me, I should have clubbed down.
Oh, really? I went long? Is that right?
Yeah.
Just too much power in the club.
Right. I should have clubbed down or, should have punched out there.
Like honestly, I even went to something as dumb as golf, and I'm like, I can't. Like I'm trying to, and so that can't be real. Like I'm sure if my wife was listening to this, she'd be like, "Oh, here we go," you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I fucking don't know. Because if I go back to the 2000s, it's like, oh well, settle in. But I've already, told those stories of, I regret being a shitty husband. To my first wife, and I'm now at peace. It's one of those things, for those of you who haven't heard me talk about this before, that when you get divorced, if you're in my mindset, when you get divorced, you just kind of assume like in a couple of years, especially in our situation, short marriage, no kids, not, sending out a bunch of money. It's kind of a blip on the radar. And so then you wouldn't think it would have the long-lasting effect of, say, you get divorced and you have 4 kids and you've been married 25 years. That's a different set of circumstances. So, but here I am in 2024 and it's been 16, 17 years and I'm like, I will never forgive myself. I will never forgive to me, that's like the monster. I don't really regret, I don't regret something that I did with my career as much as I regret not going to New York or not going to Denver when I had opportunities. I regret not capitalizing on my situation at probably 26 and seeing what I could do with it. But I was content. Yeah. And contentment is the enemy of greatness.
Yeah. I got some maybe.
What do you got? Good.
Something you've said before is that, you've not regretted, so maybe this is off base, but you said if you're gonna go down, when you go down to Jupiter, it's like getting that taste of it, and then coming back, it's brutal. So if you don't go down there in the first place,
this is dirty pool because the trick to get me into a bad place is to bring up.
I don't mean to, but
Jupiter.
But you said just going down there and getting the taste of it can be lethal because like you get the taste of it.
Right.
Coming back is like the worst.
Yes.
So you said like, just not going down in the first place is the only way to
exactly.
resolve that.
Yeah, I mean, it had that. I mean, I've been going there since '98.
Yeah.
But and I went there in 18 and 19 and 20
for extended periods of time. Right?
But I mean, 18 was like maybe a month and a half, and 19 was 2 months because I did that Cardinal Fantasy Camp thing, just to fuck around and make fun of myself with videos of it, playing against chiropractors, yes, and having Alan Bennis scream at me about being a terrible athlete. And then 2020 was cut short with COVID. 2021 was the extended one, and 2021 was the first time ever because John Hadley, who was running KFNS, in his attempt to try to keep me at KFNS in the negotiation, said, "Hey, big boy, I might not be able to offer what, KMOX or, the Hubbard people or whatever, but they probably wouldn't let you live in Jupiter. I just want you to know, as long as you come back I can't remember what it was, every 4 weeks or 6 weeks, you can live wherever you want and do the show." And so then it's like entered into mine. I remember that was like February of 21. And it wasn't even, I'm like, okay, that's nice. it doesn't matter.
Right.
And then we're down there for a month or two more, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. And I remember we came back for Mother's Day, so Anna Marie's parents were living with us, but I wanted to come back to be with my mom. And I remember going, even we were going for 2 days, I'm like, fuck this. I've been here I've been there since December 27th, and I'm like, fuck, why are we doing this, And then I remember we were so excited to go back down, and I'm like, holy shit, but that's not there wasn't really I suppose there was a decision. We could have stayed at KFNS, and I could have signed a deal, and Dave Zobrist was going to also, even though once Hadley was out, he was also going to let me live wherever the hell I wanted, and it would have been Jupiter. But we all on the show, and Darren wasn't a part of it at the time, but agreed that Hubbard was the right move, and Hubbard wasn't going to let me live in Jupiter. So, but I honestly just don't regret that, because I know some things that it would have been a really risky move to leave everything here and then count on that situation. So I don't regret that. I don't know. People are taking advantage of me opening it up to say, here are things regrets. Let's see what we got here. The Rec League's ref's uncle is Micah Ruzioni. Jackson will not get this reference. That's from Brad Mudd.
I do get the reference.
Let's see. I'm not good enough to get too high or low while playing any sport. When someone cheats in golf, I'm on board with this. I can get irrationally angry. Not right away, but 5 holes of undercounting strokes, I'm pissed. I have not run into, because the guys I play with pretty regularly, and we are playing for, it's not like life-changing money, but sometimes I'm Venmoing somebody a few $100s. You've been on the receiving end of this. I think you've been profitable in these ventures. But still, that counts. But you can be playing a $10 Nassau, and but it's not even in play for somebody with the game that we're playing for somebody to try. It's not even in play for somebody to try, because I'm playing with guys who are good players. But I do occasionally play with somebody, and they do there's got to be a name for this, and I know you can only know what I'm doing if you're watching on YouTube. But when a guy turns around the green and hey, what'd you get? And I don't give a shit if we're not gambling. You could put down, you got a birdie for all I fucking care. It doesn't matter to me.
You're counting up the strokes.
But if he starts doing the air dots, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I just immediately go to pick up my clubs to walk to the next hole, or just get in the car and just whatever you want to say. Don't give a shit if we're doing the air dots.
Everyone knows what stroke they're on while they're playing. No one's ever has to go back and
I think sometimes, and I also do think sometimes, if you don't play a lot, you don't necessarily know the rules.
Sure,
and people will do the lateral thing with a white stake. And but if we're not gambling, I couldn't fucking care any less. And even in the whole scheme of things, it's just such not a big deal. But if I am playing with guys and we're playing the game where they can get to $96 plus a hole.
The old 96.
The old 96er. I've been on the receiving end of the old 192er.
Whew.
That was a press with a repress and a birdie. Woo. But I have to tell you, even though I lost $192 right there, I was kind of like, I saw a shooting star.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, shot at my ass. Yeah. Well, my playing partner, who might be watching, by the way, he's a viewer of the of QFTA. And
I have a feeling I might know who it is based on the number.
Yeah. Well, you probably have an idea of some of the people involved, but the guy who did the repress, and he does watch QFTA, He wasn't as amused as I was, and he probably was a little irritated that his playing partner was like, "Oh my fucking God, I can't believe it," you know. Listen, I wasn't happy to Venmo him, whatever. I'm sure I lost more than $192 that day, but it was just like, you know, they loved the fact that we pressed when they were both on the green.
You told me the story.
And then my playing partner, who is a great player, he's like a +1 or 2.
Okay, yeah.
It was like the number was 174 on this par 3, and he goes, "I just love the number." And I'm like, I mean, if the wind's with us, I'm hitting a 7 or 8. If the wind's into us, I'm hitting a 6 or 7. It just depends. I'm not good enough to like be 174. That's much better for me than 170. So you're a great player. You know, God bless. I don't fight in the whole scheme of things. It's not like I'm gonna be like, what do I do here? You know. So whatever, I like the action. It's fun. I don't give a shit in the whole scale. Like if it's like, you know, $2,000, I'm going, what the fuck? But for this, it's just kind of, and also, what are the chances that they're going to birdie for real? And then when he rolled in like the 35-footer for birdie, I was like, the 192er. Like you see a 96er, like maybe, I don't know, maybe once around. I guess those can pop up. But the 192er is like Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that was a possibility.
Yeah, therefore, I guess now I don't think a 3, what would that be, 384?
Oh, God. That would be on a par 3. That would be some serious action.
Manchild79 says, when the Henny is in the system, ain't no telling.
Yeah.
What if I'm drinking Hennessy tonight?
On top of the whiskey, you're gonna be the vomit comment.
The vomit. I would be on the vomit comment.
Absolutely.
Let me see what else we got here. Oh, this is about the golf cheating. Not right away with 5 holes under counting strokes. I mean, if we're gambling, I care, but I mean, it would never. Nobody would allow it to not get called out.
Right, and I guess there's like.
And then the thing
is,
like, and then the thing, with like again, it's one thing. Like, and I know because this up until a few years ago, this is what I was. You're just playing with random guys. You might not be gambling, and I just don't give a shit. If anything, it's a little annoying, I suppose, but I just don't care. But if you're gambling, it lives with you forever.
Start a letter.
It lives with you, and also in competition. You know.
Yeah, that's.
And there are people who are probably watching this who don't. Enter it in the YouTube chat for the record. Not you. I know you're not. That'd be really fucking weird if Jackson started
airing people
posting
out.
the names.
Undercounting strokes is like.
I understand this goes on in high school golf quite a bit.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
But like, I guess in theory, like you can always be under the guise of like, oh, I just counted up wrong, and well, I wouldn't believe it. You know, fine. But like the dirt, like if you're like you hit a ball like towards the woods and you're like, I hit a provisional, but like you drop a ball and like found it. That's like you might
shot at the Fan Page Club Championship.
That's like some like psychopath. Like to me, that's next level.
Yeah,
that's next level.
And that's but the fact that went on with a guy who won a Masters is
that's crazy.
You know,
his little thing in the sand is like dirty and nasty. But
what about a Torrey Pines in 21?
We're
going too golf centric here, but yes, I mean yes, yes.
That's a next level thing.
It is. Let's see. You guys regret all the time you spent talking about the Mizzou Georgia first half over under in 2021.
It's the first quarter.
Is that what it was?
Okay.
A lot of time spent on that I can't get back.
First of all, I just want to say something.
Oh, Jackson.
That just in general with
was
football.
Was that 21? I would have thought it was 22.
No,
20.
It was 21 because we did this at.
Because Missouri nearly beat him in 22.
We were in the.
I live bet. I money line bet Missouri. I think I would have won like $2,000.
Yeah, it was the only time
I bet $100 on Missouri to beat Georgia straight up, just like for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with my wife, just the two of us. The kids are at her parents, and I'm like, holy shit, they might actually win this thing.
I was there. It was fired. The place was going nuts. Just in general with football gambling, the most exhilarating bet you can make is a first quarter over. It is.
That's nice. That's a nice little
time
sweat.
It is.
That's a nice little sweat.
Such a good time. Like even if it doesn't, but if it's ever at 6.5, you gotta bet over. You just have.
You have a moral, even like if it's the Iowa Hawkeyes and Kirk.
That would be a
put you to the test, and
but,
it's snowing in Iowa City.
But what the fun thing about the first quarter over bet is that the teams playing have no motivation to like. If there's 10 seconds left in the first quarter, like just let it go, and it can go crazy. So much fun.
Brad Mudd asked, "Do you regret not going to Hubbard sooner?" The invite wasn't there. I mean, that's the reality. John Kiowski and I can't imagine he would care that I would say this at this point. We met like the week before my wife and I got married in 2011. Had lunch at Rosalita's on Washington Avenue.
Cadillac Fajitas?
Oh, God, Bill. I used to think just totally with my head up my ass, I'm like, I'm just eating protein. This is healthy. And I'm just like, oh, my God. Now that I kind of like know like I'm just like, oh, my God. I probably took in like 3,000 calories every time I had those things. But
sodium, too.
They were wonderful.
Delicious.
For the record. God, it makes me kind of want to go get those. But, I talked with him in 2011. Here's a story. I may have told it before. If I have, I apologize. I'm not doing this from like a, this is just what happened. In 2012, and I don't know how this came to pass, but when Joe Buck and I were doing like kind of our little experiment show, and somebody sent me, God, who's the person who sent me that audio? Somebody, Mrs. Janie Shanahan, I think.
Right.
Have I forwarded that email to you yet?
I think so.
Okay.
It might have been.
Can we get that in the best of?
I think it was like on a Friday, and I guess by the week starting, I'd forgotten. But yeah, I definitely have that.
And so Joe and I, that was the most, we communicate now, obviously, with the Sound Story stuff, but I pick my spots with anybody, but obviously him. And he said, and I guess this could come off like a Facebook post when you're posting from a nice place, but it's not intended to. It's a story. He goes, here's something I don't understand. And we would always meet at Lester's. Corned beef sandwich.
I like the wings.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't like corned beef. I already picked up what you're laying down earlier on.
You know me, I'm a pastrami guy.
No, the anti-Irish stuff, I picked up on it. And he goes, how come the best sports show isn't on the best station? And I go, I don't know if they would really consider us sport. Like, in other words, how come TMA is not on 101? Mm-hmm. And I go, well, I mean, I appreciate that. It's subjective. And he goes, well, who's in charge there? And I go, John Kiowski. He's the market manager. And he goes, I want to give him a call. And I go, say what? I go, I mean, he doesn't answer to you, even though you're calling Super Bowls and World Series. He goes, I just don't get it. And everything was fine. And this wasn't like, this wasn't really. This was one of the rare relative peace times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was 2012, and he goes, I don't get it. And I go, I appreciate it, but so he does. He calls him. And they talk. I don't know if they got together for lunch, but either way, because Joe called them, John and I get together for lunch again. Like I said, I think it's like May of 2012. And he's just like what we're doing on 101 and what you're doing, and there's no doubt it works. There's no doubt, He goes, it's just two different things, and I never, ever, 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 ever. I never even looked at us as like going to 101 doing, what we were doing in 2012. It just wasn't even, I get it. So I never was like, man, I just understand it. It's not even, and I didn't even have as much, I guess, being on the other side of the desk experience at that time. Where it got close was more with Tommy, who at the time was at Emmis in 2013. And just like everybody else in broadcasting, truly, not just in St. Louis, but in broadcasting in general, people were enamored nationally in radio. Not nationally was like, private citizens, but in radio by the man and woman thing. Truly thought it was an April Fool's joke. Like real executives were, boy, what is that? Like, this is so, like, how is this being allowed, and how is somebody doing it, and how is there like a guy's like who owns it like saying that this is a good idea? Like you had to, like, the fact that happened, it took the right people, and I mean by the right people, I guess the wrong, but they had to lack certain traits in order for it to happen. But then the monster secret ingredient was the desperation for money. You're going out of business, and so the only way you're going to get this guy to infuse capital is if you go along with his idea that maybe internally you're like, this is fucking so ridiculous. But if he doesn't put money in, we have to turn off the lights. So fuck it. Let's go with it. And I think that's what happened because Todd Robbins, who was the other guy in that press conference, had been pursuing me to operate KFNS going back to, I know for sure it was right around the time that Anna Marie and I got married again, that coming up, who would have thought, which was 2011. And so much so that one of the places we went after we got married was Las Vegas, and we went to a Jay-Z and Kanye show.
Oh, Watch the Throne.
That's what we went to. Yeah.
That's about as good as it gets.
They performed what is now known as Paris.
Yep.
But it wasn't at the time.
Well, it gets the people going. Provocative.
11 times to wrap up the show.
Not even that. They could have done it 15 times.
I mean, it was just... So Todd's out there because his wife at the time, I believe, was it's barrel racer, like rodeo,
like Tim McKernan, the Barrel Man.
Did that barrel, but she came from that like a well-known family, like they were like the Earnhardts in this world, and it was rodeo weekend, perfect timing for the Jay-Z Kanye show.
Opposite program.
So it was amazing to walk through. That was at the MGM Grand Arena,
yeah, sick ass place where they had the boxing stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that also is where a lot of the rodeo people were. So you had the people going to the Jay-Z show and the rodeo people interacting. It was just America, Jack.
Yeah, that is.
But either way, so so we were like getting together, and then when after the show, which she's a barrel racer, and he's kind of like wearing cowboy boots, and they're in the and I'm like all like this is fucking great, but they come with us because we're gonna talk business afterwards. So we sat there in like the lounge area of the MGM Grand and bullshit, had drinks and bullshit about this KFNS thing. So that goes back to December 2011. So the man and woman thing didn't happen until, I think, February of 13. So for that entire time, Todd was trying to, but he never put anything on the table. It was always like, here are the numbers. Can you fix this? I'm like, maybe I can, but you got to like, tell me what am I making? What's my cut? Do I have equity? Do I have profit share? What do I get? I'm not just here to fix problems for free.
Yeah.
So we need you to come up with something. Like then put something on the table. Right. So anyway, whatever. Neither here nor there. So we go in there and we meet and we make an offer. And then like 2 days later, the man and woman thing happens, and I go, we just made an offer. What the hell happened? The price changed. He goes, well, I'm not telling you. It's not a moving target. I'm like, okay. So I'm with, some serious people are involved in this, way more serious than me. And they're like, okay, fuck this. First off, we don't know why we're involved in looking at buying an AM radio station anyway. But we trust you. But we're not dealing with a guy who's changing the price 48 hours after we met with him. This is it's like a telling business. If you got that, if somebody's changing terms, it's not about KFNS. It's just about, this is a clown show.
Right.
And so because it was a clown show and you had Desperate, then that allowed that to come to fruition. So once it came to fruition and it got all this attention, that's when Tommy reached out. And we had lunch downtown at what used to be Jay Buck's, which is now a Wheelhouse. And that's how our first conversations came to pass. And we talked about all this stuff. So throughout 2011 to 2021, I had been talking with these guys, but nothing ever really happened outside of putting us on 105.7 HD2 when we were at 920. But there was never really a real opportunity to take the whole group to Hubbard or Emmis.
Yeah.
Like a real, like it's on the table, it's here. There's a lot of talk, and it got serious. But yeah, if that would have happened, it would have been great. I mean, for real, not because now we know it. It's just it was really not pleasant what we were experiencing. So, but to regret it would mean I chose not to, and
right.
And it wasn't on the table until truly like real. Like here is an offer, here it is, here's let's negotiate until 2021. So therefore, it's not a regret. I think maybe this is really self-indulgent, but that is the brand. I think. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say because it's Brown Whiskey Friday
That's
or
right,
Brown Liquor Friday.
Brown Liquor Friday.
I think that even if there weren't cameras here, I think they might go, we regret not bringing you guys over sooner.
I agree.
I think they would say that.
Be tough to argue.
I think they would say that. I do. But I think there was real skepticism about the revenue attached to the show. because any guy can say, yeah, we've got all this advertising, and they listen, but they don't know what the numbers are. And so, yeah. So in that sense, I regret that they regret it, because that would have been great, but there was nothing that we could have done. I mean, it wasn't like a choice where I'm like, no, I think I'm going to go to 920.
Good email, Don Peepee.
Is that your way of saying, hey, I'm landing the plane?
I just thought it was
rapping
good...
We got to get to the 5-day forecast?
No.
We got Love Connection coming up at 10:30?
No. Jeopardy, though, hopefully. No, not at all. That was a good conversation and still going on. And that was, no, trust me. Listen, QFTA could go forever.
It can't, though, because I got to pick up my son and I got to go drink whiskey.
Yeah. No. Trust me, I got nothing today. I'm chilling.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a nice day and you're a ball striker and you're going to be hitting your 7-iron 180.
I saw some the YouTube and Instagram
just
and
get
TikTok
in the fucking
golf.
simulator.
I need a lesson is what I need.
You don't even need a lesson.
It could help. It
can help, but once you see it, it'll be over. It's almost like I feel like a poker guy like telling you how to play. Like, hey, you need to bet after you raise pre-flop on the flop, even if you missed it. You just need to do it. It's just the game.
Like when I play blackjack with my friends and their dealer's showing the face card. They have 16. They're like, I'm going to stay. I'm like, stop it, hit. Do not fuck with me. You have to hit. Do not fuck with me.
Carlos Spicy Winter says, this is because Tim needs a 15 to 20 handicap like me on his bag. There is, in fact, video documentation of this in action. That's true.
I hope he's on your bag for the opening round.
Who am I playing?
You're
the Pope.
The Pope, that's right. Rematch. Boy, can he roll the rock.
I know. He's going to do it. I mean, that'll be, as far as, I'm not going to sit here and break down a fucking fan page club championship match, but I will tell you, for the first time ever in a match, and I've played against guys, all due respect to the Pope, who are way better than the Pope, and the Pope knows that. The Pope's a college golfer. He's played golf with people infinitely better than me, probably like 1,000. But usually in match play, if a guy's like 20 feet away, and I've got a, 21 or 2 foot putt, I'm going, okay, we're both 2-putting here.
Yeah.
Or
almost
if you're not going, okay, I gotta make it.
Right.
Well, that motherfucker, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It totally blew up the whole thing.
Yeah, and if he's 60 feet away, he ain't 3-putting.
He really isn't. I'm telling you, I haven't played. I mean, and I don't think that was like a one-off luck box thing, and those things can happen in match play. But that was something else. Telling people your biggest regret in life is not going to Italy in college is hilarious. That's from the neighbor kid. Oh, Jackson, that's at you.
It's less so about because when you frame it like that, and I assume that was a lighthearted little jab, which is fine. It's not that; it's the experience and culture you get to absorb when you're out there, and doing it at a young age is good because it's tough to go visit Europe when you're
at this point. I agree. My wife and I look back and I go, "What in the hell were we doing?" But this just shows how I didn't save money. And this is 2011, same thing that I'm talking about. I mean, big 2011 podcast today. We were looking at going over to, a variety of places, and I wasn't making, I was fine, but I wasn't making like crazy money to look back on it and go, what the fuck? To even be thinking of this. I mean, it'd be just like, what the fuck? But whatever, we were thinking about going, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore. I mean, like I'm 65 and I shut it down with $10 million net worth trip.
20-hour flight.
What in the fuck? But either way, that's what we were talking about. I mean, I guess I could have been talking about, orchestrating a daisy chain too. But I was talking about it. And I look back on it and I go, what in the hell? But truly, once you have a child, that's over. That's over until they're 18.
Right.
Unless you're bringing them with you. I mean, we're not doing it. The fact that we went to the Bahamas for 6 days. I was on the phone with my dad for the first time since we got back last night. And he goes, boy, buddy, I got to tell you, you are lucky with your in-laws. I mean, they're good people, but holy shit, I'm not doing that for 6 nights. God bless them. God almighty. And I said, well, as it turns out, the younger one was throwing up the first 3 nights. He goes, oh, brutal.
I'd like to do a side-by-side comparison of your impression of your father and then Martin Kilcoin's.
Martin's got my dad sounding like It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, he does. Bill's house, Fred's house.
Yeah, how about Martin's drive-by today?
That's standing.
He's so...
What people didn't hear is when I answered the phone, he goes, is this the Plow Hogmaster or something. I was like, no, it's Jackson. He's like, why the hell am I calling Washington, Missouri? I was like, I'll put you on hold, Mark.
Plow Hogmaster.
Something like that. There's something ridiculous about Plowsy.
Oh, God. Do you regret being the busboy at an early age and having to dance on the chair for the other employees? It was just one employee, a waiter who to me, I think it was in his 60s or 70s, but he might have been like younger than me. But he had gray hair and glasses, and to me, he was an old man.
Yeah.
And yes, he did have me stand on a chair. I mean, I can you even imagine that?
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, a 14-year-old working, and then said 14-year-old.
Took a shot at my dad, right?
Well, the said 14-year-old is now dancing for another employee. That's hot tracks and boogie nights.
God Almighty, I hated that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there are so many things. This is so true. It's so true. It is so true, and I know because you're dad and you have a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But it is absolutely so. There are things that I was certain my dad was wrong about. Certain. I'm just like, well, he's wrong about this. And as you age, first off, I just feel lucky that I'm 47. He's still around.
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful for that. But as you age, you're just like, God, he was right. And it wasn't even like life experience things, like his reads on people. And people, I'm like, you're wrong on this one. You're wrong. And then the hand plays out over some years, and I go, God, he was so fucking right. And I'm so grateful for the fact that I've gotten it for 47 years. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Let's see. The video says the show is in commercial break. Does it?
Not on my end.
Okay. Manchild79 says, I don't know about the last few years, but I know you had a shit ton of regret on January 6, 2020 at about 7:45 a.m.
January
I
7th.
believe he's talking about 2021.
And January 7th.
And January 7th. But yes, you are correct.
Whew.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That was my 1 month anniversary of being on the show. And that was, oh my God. Woo.
Well, that's another thing that takes me back to a bad place.
Yeah, that was a tough day.
Holy shit.
For a multitude of reasons, that was a very tough day.
I mean, one of the things that was so strange about that, what was strange about that day?
What was normal about that day?
But, I mean, it was so out of nowhere. I'm down in Jupiter. I go to play golf with Adam Long's dad. And it's just like that stuff's going on. But I remember leaving, and it's like I don't even know if we had it on. Nothing was going on. There was just like
it didn't.
It was like a rally.
We finished the show, TMA, I mean, and then for like an hour, nothing was happening afterwards. 2 hours, nothing, and then obviously,
right,
shit hit the fan.
So I mean, but then I've played the front nine. I mean, I can picture the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody would like to look it up, it's Eastgate. And there's 2 courses there. I don't remember which course it was. And Adam's dad is a great fucking player. And it's probably my first round in months, and I'm fumble fucking all over the place. But I'm just happy to be out there. It's probably windy, whatever. So I'm like irritated probably by the fact that I'm not playing well and whatever we're gambling for. It wasn't anything big, but either way, I'm dicking around. I'm probably Adam's dad's partner, and I know he's probably not happy with the way I'm playing. That was my irritation on the front nine. Then we get to the back nine, and now the Capitol's under siege. And somehow, for some members of this audience, I became the bad guy. It was fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's like, oh, Tim and Jack Danforth. And Jack Danforth and Josh Hawley. Fuck you, Tim. And I'm like, wow, what a leap to go from...
Yeah, that is
I have a relationship of some form with Jack Danforth. Jack Danforth has this thing that he regrets already. And now, because I'm friends with Jack Danforth, if I can even say that, and he has this thing that he is now called the biggest regret of his life.
Talking about regrets.
Holy shit, yeah. And then it's on me. Some pornographer on a golf course in Florida.
Right.
What the fuck? But I remember coming home, and whatever, this is whatever. Fucking matter.
Pesci.
It's one of your favorite things about QFTA.
You get all Pesci.
What is it? How is that Joe Pesci when I do that?
I don't know. It's just like that. Like you quickly get into the little ball of.
I'm like, should I say it? Not say it. I'm like, if we're TMA or Balloon Party, I wouldn't say it here. I'm just like, fuck it, because you've like had to seek it out so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Sometimes
you get irritated.
Right. Sometimes it's like a little Irishman Pesci where it's a little more muted, but it's still there.
Yeah. I'm just like, I remember standing there watching that when I got back home, and I was so sad. And I remember standing there, and I'm just like, I can't believe what I'm. I was really just like sad. Yeah. And then as the night played on, I'm like, I'm happy. I'm like, here are all these people who kind of like lived in fear of the situation for the last 4 years, finally going, okay, that's enough. And I'm like, this has been an awful day, but we finally bottomed out.
Yeah.
Now we can finally move on.
Right, the silver lining.
Yeah, that's what I truly thought. And so we get up the next morning, and there's just never been. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say there's never been, but just in general, I mean, has there ever been, honestly, for real? And you're welcome to say it. Obviously, you wouldn't say what it is. If we came in on a show, and I realize it's tough to have like a pre-show meeting since I'm walking in and then the mic's open 3 seconds later, but where we've said in your tenure, we're not going to talk about this, I don't know. I mean, I just can't imagine.
No, definitely not in my tenure.
It just hasn't happened, you know? So it would be weird to not talk about it. But so what Manchild 79 is making reference to is the show on January 7th, the morning after that. And so I'm not in studio, so you got that. But I'm on the show, it's just I'm not in studio, which usually didn't matter.
Right.
But in that case, I think I would have been able to maybe like, I don't know. I don't know. And it just, oh my God. But the anger from the audience was already there from the day.
Yeah.
And then you got it. But it wasn't all one-sided, you know? There were some people who were totally on board with where Doug was coming from. And I'm just like, holy shit, like there's no control in this thing. I guess what I would regret is I didn't know how angry the audience was that morning. Had no idea. I don't think if I would have been in St. Louis, I would have known. So, yeah, I mean, with the benefit, but my whole thing that would be regret was, well, I know the outcome.
Right.
You don't know the outcome. It's like, oh, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have shoved with ace king. Turns out he had aces. Well, you always shove with ace king, you know? I mean, no, you don't always, but most of the time you're not like laying it down pre unless you got a real good read. So then you don't hit the ace or king. You don't go, well, I made the wrong move, because you don't fucking know. So you play the hand the way you play the hand. And in that case, that was but I'll tell you, the good thing that came from it is, you know, it was a very calm conversation. And what it was, me, you, Doug, Iggy, and Rockio, I guess?
Yeah. Yep.
And it wasn't like Doug, you know, it wasn't like Doug's like, no, fuck this, I got to have my voice heard. He's like, yeah, I get it. I say some shit that pieces, that's not how he talks, but I say some things that upset people. And so, you know, I get it. And yeah, it's probably best that we don't talk about it. And it's made the show infinitely better.
Yep. Bingo.
And I mean, so that sucked. And I'm telling you, that night, truly, I recall where I was with my wife having dinner. I'm like, God, that might be it. And it's not like there was anything else at that moment for me to go to, you know, but I was just like, I can't, that was a real, true low point on the show. And it's not necessarily because of like, I'm sure people are like, well, because of what Doug said. I'm like, no, because how angry the audience was and how it just was, and then also it's not like I'm in a good state of mind. I mean, I'm in a bad state of mind of what happened.
Right. Right.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
And
but I don't know if there's like a regret on it. There's a regret with knowing the outcomes. That's different than like, I was a fucking ass and I hurt people, like how I look about, you know, other things like my first marriage. You know, that's you know, fuck off to me is what I say there. You know?
Yeah, I with that too, it was such like a corner to be in, because you can't not talk about it, because I don't know if we had a major news story that affected all Americans and happened in America, and I can't even.
Yeah, I wasn't on the air for September 11th.
Right,
Jay was on the air live when that happened.
But that was probably the most recent time where something like that. I'm talking like
the 2016 presidential election.
Sure,
you weren't around for that one. I remember that, and I thought that show. I mean, it's tough to remember. I mean, I don't remember that as well as I remember January 7th at all. But I remember, say this, and I stand by this still to this day. And I kind of feel like, we talked a little bit about Jon Stewart and Bill Maher, and you're not as big of a Maher fan as a Stewart fan. Is that a correct?
Yep.
I'm a fan of both. But I get what you're saying but I think Maher's thing is a strategy, but maybe I'm off. Either way, you don't win people over by calling them dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, if anything, it was hey, obviously there are a large amount of people, not just the people you see at the rallies, who felt strongly enough either about what Donald Trump was saying or what Donald Trump represents or what Hillary Clinton represents to them, that this guy won the presidential election. And if you want to call however many people, 50 million plus people who voted for him, stupid or racist, Godspeed. But that isn't it. And even if that is really how you feel, it's just not the way to come to the table if you really want to have an honest discussion. Yeah. It's just not where it is. Like, I'm certain my parents voted for him, and there's not a doubt in my mind on who they are, and also not only their education, but my mom. My God, my mom was to Motown what I was to rap music. As it turns out, I didn't know this, but when she lived for Motown in the 1960s, and here she is going to visitation, and can imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
And I'm at St. Louis U High wearing starter jackets in the early 1990s, and they're all listening to the Grateful Dead and Fish and going, what the fuck is this? Because it wasn't mainstream at the time. And writing a whole thing about I'd like to become student council president because I'm concerned about the way minorities are treated at St. Louis U High. And people are like, that's a nice sentiment, but there's 5 of them here, so not really a great voting block you've tapped into. But that's how I felt.
Sure.
That I look back on that particular discussion, and I thought it was pretty healthy. I don't remember that as being a rough one. I remember at the same time that was around the Passon thing, but that wasn't the morning after the election.
No,
so I thought that was a pretty healthy conversation, and it stood out. I remember being more, as weird as it is, I was more concerned about Eric Greitens because I'm just like, Trump is, you can see what that is. This guy is him, except he's representing something different. I don't know what Hawley was doing at the time. Those are the guys that, from my standpoint, are more dangerous because they're the ones in, that's the wolf in sheep's clothing thing.
And what they do more directly affects people in the state of Missouri.
So I was like, I'm like, oh, fuck. And I remember talking with guys, who, very smart people who, like, there's no way Greitens wins. And this was in the primary. I'm like, that's the guy. I'm telling you, that's the guy. That's the guy. That's the guy. And I don't feel like vindication, but I do feel good about my reads on politicians. And I don't know where someone would go, yeah, you were wrong. And I'd welcome that in the YouTube chat too. Yeah, you were wrong on that one. But yes, January 7th, it's not a regret. It just was a fucking awful show.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a conversation before the show where people were going, I don't think we should talk about it. And I go, no, we should talk about it. It's just like we did what we did.
Yeah.
Tim, are you there? Yep. All right. You good to go? Yep. All right. We're starting in a minute. And then we go. That's the same thing anytime I'm not in studio or Doug's not in studio. That's the way that it works. But what I didn't read right, or I guess any of us, but I'll take the lead on it, is the anger from the audience. But maybe the audience wouldn't have been as angry if things that were said by whomever, I guess Doug's was, the one that I suppose got the most attention, but there were plenty of people who thought like Doug thought. And that's the thing that any time it came to that, and obviously we haven't had these conversations now for 3+ years about how come you let him talk like that. I'm like, what? It's not, he's a grown man. He's 20 years older than me, and I respect him. And just because, he's not personally he's espousing his opinions, I disagree with him, but I respect him, and so I'm not going to shout him down. No. I never got that. Why was it my responsibility? And then if I espouse something that would be either perceived as anti-Trump or anti-conservative, and then if Doug started shouting at me, I'd be like, hey man, fuck off.
Right.
It's just not the way we treat each other.
Right.
So that was always a weird thing to me, but whatever. Anyway, let's see. Tim, would you rather see Goldie win another MVP or Tiger slip on another green jacket? Insta call. Tiger green jacket. Oh, you're going in the tank. it's not even a sweat for me.
Yeah, I'm probably the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Wow. I'm surprised you're in the tank on this. I know we're in the minority in St. Louis. Obviously don't care, but yeah, that's where I am on it.
Yeah. Question for you.
Yeah, sure, I'm taking him.
What do you think about Tiger's new brand?
I don't mind it. It does look like Slazenger.
It does, yeah. And the TW
I'm
logo
surprised.
is iconic. That's what I'll miss.
I don't like these the thing where you get your initials and turn it into a logo thing.
But he was like one of the first.
He was the first.
Yeah.
But I just always I never really liked it.
I thought his was always the best. The TB12 one is like the geez.
Even like a guy who like wins like the Honda Classic now has his initials in a logo. It's like,
But his was just so like I don't know. It's on the hat, it looked out.
I don't know. I also think like when something new is introduced and then it's automatically killed on social media, unless it's like one of the guys who's really active on social media, and then like the guys who blow them will say how great it is. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of boring to me. I don't think it's as bad as like the social media reaction to it, but it actually does look like the Slazenger logo. But you got, I mean, how many people know what the fuck the Slazenger, which hasn't been around for 20 years?
Say, maybe back in the day, but I like Tiger going with the sweater look, like he was at Riviera. Like he just looks, the sweater over the golf polo is a good look. I like that a lot.
I'm a huge quality of life guy. I'm ambitious, but act on a specific opportunity way rather than work my ass off every day way. Just not worth the cost to me. I'm not sure what Mike Frisell is talking about there. Did we talk about something like that? I don't know what and then he says exactly the air dots, so that's in reference to the golf thing. Alan Dadeville says he's going to be on the Pope's bag. Well, then fuck you, brother.
I hope Alan Dadeville plays in the Fan Page Club Championship.
Didn't he win it last year?
No,
that was Dogtown Ty, and I get him and Flip Wilson and Dogtown Ty.
You get all of them mixed up, yeah. I love Alan Dadeville. He's great people, and I hope he plays. Love the Pope. He was great. He was great to play with.
This weather is lending, and the fact that my 2-year-old, I was up there last night again, and now he's I don't want to say figured out, but now he's putting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's if he likes hitting balls. Let me tell you. Here's that ball going.
So I'm just like, okay, he's just gonna like, and then like 2 older people came up there and they're on the putting green, and I'm sure they're like, what the fuck is this? And they had a Callaway rep up there, I guess, they had a fitting, and I just thought it was a guy who I hadn't met yet who was walking by, and he stops and he's just watching my 2-year-old, putting, and he goes, what's going on here? I go, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, maybe I've met this person and I feel badly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I am a star.
Right.
Does that sound weird?
Not if it's the truth.
Thank you. Anyway, it turns out he was a Callaway rep who was in town, because then I heard one of the assistant pros go, have a good flight. So he was in there for a fitting. And he goes, how old is this guy? And I go, he just turned 2-3 weeks ago. And he goes, he has really good form for putting. I go, well, why wouldn't he? He's turned 2. I mean, fuck, if he doesn't have it by now. But because all he wants to do is go to the golf course, what that is and this weather, what it's allowing me to do is he just entertains himself in putts, of course.
Right.
The 6-year-old now just sits there and watches my phone. My wife's in heaven because she has time.
Yeah.
And I'm up, and I'm happy because I'm at the golf course.
Seems like a win-win.
And so then all I do is I take a few balls, and I'm just chipping constantly because the 6-year-old's watching my phone. He's happy. Sometimes he hits balls. The 2-year-old's putting, and I'm chipping, and I'm like, I might wind up, because of this weather, really improving. That's where I'm going to improve, is the up and downs.
Yeah, and that's what you need to get back, is the touch.
And that's and usually I'm a 3 handicap right now, and I go out and I just lose my ass at this time of year,
right? Because
I'm not playing like a 3. I'm more like God only knows what. I don't know, 8 or 9, if that. And then my handicap goes way up. But I'm like, this might be an optimal situation because score posting doesn't start till March 1st, and I might get in a spot where I'm ahead of it, as anybody else who plays in St. Louis, because the weather is so temperate.
Yeah.
But because I've got a 2-year-old who wants to go to the golf course at all time, I'm chipping and putting way more than I normally would. And I love it. I mean, God, my favorite thing in the world is going up there. And the fact that he loves it, while it might be weird, and maybe in a year he's not even doing it, it's the greatest, you know?
That's awesome.
But the byproduct for me, golf-wise, is I'm chipping a bunch, whereas I can't imagine in St. Louis anyway, I chipped a golf ball in January, February, or maybe even March, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a weird set of circumstances. So anyway, the Pope, you're on notice. I'll have to go back and listen to that January 7th show, or maybe I don't want to. I wasn't listening back then. What was the audience mad about? Type in January 6, 2021 in a search engine, and then you'll have your answer. But specifically, some people were mad at, you know, people who I guess they thought were on the left, and some people were mad who I guess they thought were on the right. I think the thing that Doug said that really set people off, if memory serves, but again, this wasn't the only thing, was that he thought it was members of Antifa who were dressed up and that they were acting to then make it look like the Trump people were storming the Capitol.
Yeah. I think he presented that as like a real possibility.
But that wasn't like at the outset. That was like, I think. I mean, again,
we were
you know, if you pull the audio and I'm wrong, sorry, I don't remember the exact minutes, but I don't think that's like where it came out of the gate. Either way, like the anger. And then I was just thrown off. It's like, it is honestly like, in the way, it's like the first balloon party where, you know, I'm thinking one thing and then it gets going and then I'm like, holy shit. You know, and just used to hosting shows with the text inbox open like all the time, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? You know, it just it threw me off, and then I'm not there to like quote unquote run it, and it just was a fucking mess. Yeah. You know, I take responsibility for it more than anybody. It's my responsibility, but it's not my responsibility to censor people.
Right.
You know,
especially when they're just giving their opinion. If they're giving facts and those are facts,
and passing them out, right? So one time I can recall in the 2016 election cycle, Doug said something along the lines of, "Well, I mean, Hillary Clinton was wearing an earpiece to get her answers during the debate," and I go, "What?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, yeah, it's everywhere," and I go, "Everywhere?" I said, "I haven't seen that." I'm like, "That's you know," and I go, "Where?" Just like one place, you know, so I can read this. And I really, you know, was, and he goes, like right here. I can't even think of the name of that website. InfoWars. And I go, oh, shit. You know, I go, well, that isn't necessarily.
Yeah, the tightest of sources.
Right. But again, you don't, if you respect somebody, like, you know, you're not going to, I mean, I'm not, I mean, it's just not, and I'm not putting myself on a moral high ground. It's just not how. Like I'm like when I'm in my we stayed down at my parents' place on vacation, and holy shit, like that's the only time I really like I would be back when Chris Wallace was doing Fox News Sunday Morning. I watched Meet the Press and then Fox News Sunday Morning. Back when I was paying attention to politics, January 7th was the end of that. Not January 7th, kind of when it became like that wasn't real, and now we're back on board again. I'm like, okay, that'll wrap her up. That's what. So probably like March of 2021. But anyway, we'll be down there, and that's what my dad will have on, and it's on all day. And I go, oh my God, it's so obvious what they're doing to like rile up old white people. I mean, it's not even about policy. It's just about like the people with color in their skin are coming. That's essentially the whole today's broadcast. And Joe Biden's a fucking moron. You know, that's essentially, that's it. And I get it. And hey, obviously it works. But I don't go, turn this shit off, you know, or to my kids, get out of here. You're not watching this. I just go, okay. You know, for the most part, I want to spend the time there with my parents. And so we'll have a conversation, and it's on, and it's whatever. But if I'm in a spot where I'm like, okay, that's all that's on, and we're not really talking, I just get up, and I mean, just like if they were sitting there and I had Rachel Maddow espousing a view, I'm like, I'm not really interested in, you know.
Extremist.
You know, and not that Don Lemon was considered like that much of an opinion shaper as like a Tucker Carlson or a Sean Hannity or a Rachel Maddow for that matter. But God, if that guy popped up, like, and if I had control of the remote and he popped up, oh, fuck. You know, I'm just like, like this guy who's like an entertainment reporter is now like the voice of, oh, God, what a fucking industry. Really does make me mad, man. It really does. Because it's one thing if it's like, okay, it's Orlovsky and Stephen A. Smith playing characters, but when you're doing this and it's like, oh my God, it really does. That's what I'm most passionate about right now. Tim, why do you hate Paul Goldschmidt? Yeah, I mean, I would love for him to do it because that means the Cardinals had a great year, but Tiger winning the Masters, you know.
After, even I like it with everything since even his 2019 win.
Goldie MVP or U.S. wins next 2 Ryder Cups in Europe, no doubt about it. U.S. wins next 2 Ryder Cups in Europe, easy. Do you agree with that? Wow.
That one puts me at test more than Tiger.
Huh, interesting.
I mean, winning in Europe is so
Like if you say
hard.
Cardinals World Championship, or
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like Goldie MVP, I don't really give a shit.
That's kind of, but I'm also thinking in the realm of like, if Goldie wins the MVP, that means the Cardinals are doing well.
Right.
But that doesn't mean guarantee anything.
Yeah, I mean, we saw 2022. And
Right.
again, that goes back to my issue with the fucking format.
If he wins MVP, they probably are
How about
making the
this?
playoffs.
Change Major League Baseball postseason format back to rewarding the regular season, or Tiger wins another Masters. That would put me to the test.
Yeah, that would put
That would put me to the test.
I'm still going Tiger, putting on another green jacket. The U.S. wins, yeah, I'd probably go with that because winning in Europe is so damn hard.
Alan Dadeville says, I'm not on Facebook. I'm ineligible, but also happier for it.
Well, good for Alan.
Yeah, I tip my cap. I just clicked to join, and the first thing I hear is Tim saying, fuck you, brother. That's from D-Bear.
Hey,
the great
D-Bear.
D-Bear.
Hey, D-Bear.
I
Great
saw
gift
D-Bear.
work.
How did I see him? Well, I was at Kirkwood, the ice rink, and I guess I was leaving there after my son had a skate, and he was like just ran a half marathon.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yeah, I just beat off twice, you know? I mean, how about this guy? God bless him. That D-Bear is one of the finest people. He's like designed so many. He might have designed this thing over my shoulder. I know like 1/1000th of the people that listen to this know what I'm talking about. The TMA logo.
It definitely got a redesign once we came over here, like a slight
It did.
redesign.
Yeah.
But I really like the look of the
I think
TMA logo's
Gangster
outstanding.
Pete is the one
Yeah.
who is the.
Yeah, and it was based on Ozark, if I'm not.
That's correct.
Yeah. God, it's a gorgeous logo.
All right, I got a hard out. I got to go pick up dry cleaning, get to the school, and then have the brown liquor.
Yeah. Dry cleaning, never, some I've never really done. I would always go with my mom when she'd pick up my dad's dry cleaning. I've never got some dry cleaning.
Cletus is texting me. That's always interesting.
Spaces aplenty.
Oh wow, and this is in reference to the show. Perfect. This is like the squirrel in the water skis. Perfect way to end the newscast. I don't know how to text to the show.
Same way you're texting Tim.
Your greatest regret has to be the time you had a chance to kiss me after we won that match. It was even during a low herpes outbreak month. Outstanding. So wonderful. Cletus was my like 2-man partner,
Yeah.
and we did win a match. Oh, he got in a fight with a guy.
Oh, Lord.
But it wasn't like he irritated the guy because like he gave him a ruling. Like I think it was like unplayable. What are they like when they spray paint an area? Like it's unplayable, so it's like normally playable.
Yeah.
And like Cletus was giving him a ruling, and then we were finishing off the match, and they could have eliminated. They should have like we were down like 3 to play. I think is what it was. There's a point to the story. I'm not reliving a golf match for a bunch of double-digit handicaps fucking around at night. But the final hole, now we're 1 down because the guy missed a short putt. It's a 2-man match. And part of me is just like, and I think, yeah, Jameson was, like an infant. And I'm out here and it's 8:15 and we're still playing. I'm just like, I gotta get home. I hope we lose the match. I mean, I'd like to win a match in a vacuum, but it's time to go and we're not playing for anything. Like $200 in shop credit. Who the fuck cares? It's the first round. Anyway, and the guy misses the putt. His partner's beside himself. He might have thrown his club. So it's a whole fucking thing. And this is on 17. The guy goes, if you come any closer to me, I'm going to hit you. That was on 13. So this is now like 90 minutes old. Now we're on 18. You can barely see the ball when you tee off.
Yeah.
And, one of us is in the fairway, and that's best ball format. It's not a scramble. So whoever gets the lowest score is what that means. And then the Banny Rooster guy pushes his shot, can't find his ball. We've been looking for a while. Yeah, the hole, the 18th hole. And Cletus calls clock on him.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Balls of steel in that Cletus Watson. Balls of steel. They could be looking for an hour, I wouldn't call it.
My God.
That's incredible.
And I'm just like, what do I mean, I'm like 40. Do I fake a heart attack? Like, what do I do to get
Grab
out
your
of here?
clubs and run to the
Oh, my
parking lot.
God. And he like Cletus comes over and he goes, and it had been like 10 minutes. I mean, by definition, it absolutely was a lost ball, but it's not OB. It is a lost ball. And then we're gonna win that hole. So now we got a playoff, but it's too dark. You can't keep playing. So then he goes, I mean, that's a lost ball. I mean, he's got to, we win the hole, and that means we got to keep playing. I'm going, oh, fuck. I'm like, I was already uncomfortable on 13. Now we're in the dark on 18. And so then the pro shop has to make a rule, and the pro shop rules that we win the hole. So now we got to keep playing. And it kept going. So then we come back like a couple days later. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3. And I think we won the match when I holed out from the bunker on 4.
Wow.
And, I mean, again, I don't know. When it's one-on-one and there's no pops, I love that. Right. And because usually I'm like the shitty guy. Yeah. I'm like the 16 in the flight. Mm-hmm. And it frees you up because nobody expects you to win. You just don't want to like lose on 10 and be Stephen Ames to Tiger Woods.
You're fairly
That's
Dickinson.
the best. No, it's the best. 100%. That's the best. But the 2-man thing, it's fun, but I don't really know what we're playing for. And there are pops, so it's kind of, I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I just like competition. But oh my God, in that spot where people were,
calling clock.
So yes, that is why I didn't make out with you.
Yeah. Didn't he also then asked to take a picture and
yes, and there is a picture. Like I think if you type my name in a search engine, I think one of the images is Clea's trying to kiss me. It's so great for my family.
Caesar should use that in the next article.
Absolutely. All right, I got to go. It's Brown Liquor Friday. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Sounds like Jackson's going to have a big weekend.
Yep.
Thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast. Thank you to our sponsors for sponsoring the podcast. Longo Big Studio sponsor, James Carlton, CarltonInsurance.net, Seth Goldcamp, Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling, Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies, and God, I just breezed through them. Who'd I leave out?
Longo Big Studios.
Yeah, Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota.
Design there, Mark Hanna, James Carlton. Yeah. Got him. Longo Biggs.
Yeah, I think Anyway, God bless all the listeners of the podcast. We love doing it. It's time to go. Have a wonderful weekend. For Jackson Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been the Tim McKernan Show podcast.